Good morning, my name is Costa. It is the 12th of August 2025. Okay, so I want to talk about my thinking and my process in terms of how I trade the DAX and the FTSE in the morning. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. I'm not really used to making videos, so please forgive me if I may waffle a little or overlook certain things. Please, you could just add that into comments, right? No problem. And I'll try and improve over time. But what you can see on your screen is the DAX chart from this morning, and also my DAX Omnis FTSE edition of the database, right? So what you can see on the chart then is we have an Asia session. Let me draw a box around that in its entirety. And we have a London session, so Asia for me starts there and runs to there, right? And within that we have an opening range, which you can see is that blue box there, right? That's that said. Then London, it starts at, I'm going to be talking European time or British time, so it starts at 7:30 GMT. I'm sorry for all you Americans, that's just the way it is. And then that runs to would be 12:30 GMT. The opening range is for 1 hour, as we can see, and the opening range for Asia is 90 minutes, right? Now we've done that. Okay, so we have some variables that we need to plug into the database, right? That gives us our sense of perhaps direction, strength, momentum, and obviously, you know, some that can be kind of illustrated within this price model as we see there. So what's happened this morning? Well, we went long, we didn't go false. What does false mean? Well, false is a breach of the other side after we have direction, right? Before the session ends, and clearly that doesn't happen. The session ends there. We were long, we never went false, right? So let's call that as for what it is, which is Asia went long and Asia is true. Right, okay. So that's what we see at 7:30 a.m. So right at this point, what's standing out, right? Well, we can see we got an ease high of 85%. We can see we've got a broken at 75% and an ease low at 63%-ish, right? So what does that look like on the chart? Okay, let's label some lines up. What are we? Okay, we'll do it in arrows, I think. So, because we're going to need them later, right? Tidy that up, make that a bit thinner, get some text, make that black. Alrighty, so that's ease low and it's currently 63%. Lovely. And then use our mid, alright, which defines whether it's broken. The session is broken, so that would be Asia mid, and that is, as we can see, 74.5%. Okay, and this is as it stands, right here at 2:30 or 7:30, sorry. And then we've obviously got our ease high, which is up there, and that is sitting at 85%. So I think I was chatting with somebody on X this morning, and we kind of both agreed that this was looking more bullish than bearish around about that time, and that's just the way it was. We were above the mid, all right. We hadn't gone false. Price was perhaps ready to move towards some kind of Asia high and perhaps expand. Clearly that wasn't the case, but luckily we have Omni. All right, okay, so now I have a model that I trade, which tagged me into a long at this point. Well, not at that point. Basically, like at 3 a.m. at 8 a.m. at the open, right? So I got tagged in a long here, and I took a loss, right? It is what it is. That's fine. I then was offered a short trade on the same strategy, which I refused at that point, and I refused that because, as we can see over here, nothing has changed, right? At least from the sense that we haven't had an event, something that shifts probabilities. Now, there are plenty of things that can do that, and there are things that, oddly, there are things that will not do that, right? Or sorry, something not happening can also shift events, right? But I'm going to keep this very, very simple. So as we just said, we're still looking at 80, actually that should be 85, not 75. 85 or 84% for this level up here. We 64% for this down here, and this mid at 74.5%. Now I always look for that, and as we can see, right, it loves to do it in the first hour, and by the time 3 o'clock comes along, it means 50% of that first hour has happened and it has not happened, right? Now it doesn't mean that it won't, right? So obviously I'm looking to see the way price evolves. Okay, so right at 3:15, which is this candle here, it does get hit. Now what I want you to do is pay attention over here, right? So I can say that we get hit at 3:15, right? So let's talk about this, right? We have OR color, which has shifted to around 80%, and we have a short direction, which is 60%. Now, what does that mean? It means that this opening range is going to be red, and it means, sorry, it doesn't mean that, it means that's the probability of it happening, right? But also, interestingly, as we can see over here, we are, EPS now is let's call that, 49-50% there, right? Is half of the possibilities, and we are really close at this point, and essentially that is what's triggering me short, right? I am now looking short because everything within the data suggests that it's heading lower. Why can I say that? Well, we did have 63% for Asia ease low. That's now gone to 86%. And as we can see, the ease high has dropped from 84% to 78. I don't really care so much about the high, but this is significant, right? It's a 33% increase, approximately, on the data, plus the shift to this red color, which means, as I just said, the opening range is going, or is looking like it wants to be red. Okay, and short direction means that once the opening range is formed and we have a low, then that low will get breached. I can't believe how well this is still going. Lol. So okay, I can then now start figuring out a trade, right? And what I did was, actually it was about there, when this candle came back into this range and was testing the underside, which was essentially support is flipping to resistance. That's the bet, right? And that was my trade. And obviously I'm now looking for that short, right? So I'm war gaming this out, right? Okay, so we're going to select that there, and then we get a short. And as we can see, I have a price model which is clearly heading down, right? And now we also have a true start of 70%. I can war game that out. We were EPS, everything is aligning. And here we are. There's the price model. As we're watching on the chart, this is still heading down. After a few conversations with some people on X this morning, this was my first target. My second target was this down here. I actually haven't closed the position yet, mainly because I'm doing this, and I just felt that momentum was certainly going to be to the downside. And a very nice message of somebody possibly I can call, a follower, somebody I follow on Twitter. I can't remember the phrase that was used. but all hell's going to break loose, I think. So I'm really looking at this down here. Is it possible? I don't know. I am trailing. So I'm looking for a new low. Once a new low is made on the way down, I come to the previous high candle, and as you can see, I've not been affected. Currently my stop is here. So actually I should move that down to there. That's where I am right now. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about briefly was what Omni does. It allows me to filter out scenarios, right? Okay, so if I like think of this kind of mathematically, I know that over the course of the day there are eight possibilities that can play out for Asia, but there are also 8 possibilities that can play out for London, which means 8 times 8 is 64. So there are 64 scenarios. Okay, by the time New York comes, we'll multiply that by another 8, and we're up to 500 somewhere, right? 560 or whatever it is. And what I'm doing is effectively removing scenarios out, right? And then it leaves what it leaves, and kind of that's, in essence, that's it. As we can see, I have a 0.76 for this lower day. Now I did publish something earlier on which would have showed that being different, but I have gone a little bit further here. Actually, that should be true. And so what I want to show right now is that when I did my initial targeting, right, minus 2.6, and as we can see, we're in this cluster here, right? Come on, there's that one. Find you working. Yeah, so with there, but with the price, the way price has gone, and what I felt was, and was discussed with some people this morning about the pull on that, right? Does it bring in this mode here at 0.5? Well, yeah. And does it bring in this minus 7.6? So let's just look at this. So there's our 5, right? I want to know 0.76, and we have the median value at 0.76. Now I'm not going to sit here and let this carry on recording to show that. Time will tell whether that gets hit or not. It's closer now than what it was, right? But anyway, I'm going to wrap that up there. I'll probably post a recap in X tonight, but this is what's all I got for you right now. If there's any questions, reach out to me on Twitter or X, reach out to me in Discord, reach out to me via YouTube. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.